Hello, good day guys, and welcome to another video. So with all these changes this past few years, I have decided again to make an updated newbie Muse leveling guide. But before we start the guide, I will first talk about the changes. So the first and major change is about the unique weapon price. Curse stuff used to be very cheap, but now they are not very newbie friendly. The difference in the damage of the curse staff versus the quest reward is not really that much, but the huge difference is in the accuracy. So to compensate for this, we are going to use accuracy accessories, and also the raw curse staff can be easily outperformed by a level 102 staff. That being said, if you are able to get a hold of a curse staff, use attack accessories. So number 2 is about the change they made about the XP armors. This is a great move on their part, and to quote the patch notes, players should not have to choose between combat effectiveness and XP optimization. To address this, we have removed the XP bonus from these sets. To compensate, we have increased the XP of all monsters in the game by 10%. And so that being said, I will still recommend getting the purple armors for newbies, since they have a nice 7% higher PBM damage bonus versus crafted armors. So next we will talk about the most asked questions about the weapon choice, which is the staff. If we are aiming for battle cleric, why use staff instead of a wand? Well, first, skills scale faster because of multiple passives. This makes them use the highest and consistent DPS early game, and the best to duo to any kind of class. You will basically use your Muse as the main DPS until your other class can stand on its own. An attack speed cleric will shine after they get their second class passive, but on Muse, they only got one attack passive. The next one is staff is great for single and AoE skills. You can easily switch to AoE or single depending on if you are going solo or if you are in an AoE party. The third one, the skills sorcery and wind counters early game monsters. Wind gets bonus damage to water elemental monsters like aquas, crawfish, and penguins, while sorcery gets bonus damage to earth elemental monsters like porkies, grunters, and moldies. Also, sorcery also gets bonus damage to all non-elemental monsters like whoopies, dongas, fighter clowns, luna bears, and yeti riders. The second most asked questions is that if you accidentally choose a wand and I want to be a bolter, should I restart my character? The simple answer is no, because you can still use single target spells, but you will be a bit behind in terms of damage. But the good thing is you can able to use single target heals earlier than a staff. So you basically trade some DPS for survivability. So now, let's start the grind. So for level 1 to 10, we are going to do the Adventurer's Plane chain quest. First, get your quest on Arua's Fairy. She will then direct you to talk to Gray and will ask you to kill Jellybeans. Submit back to Gray after completion, then he will then ask you to talk to Bert. Before going to Bert, you should also get the quest from Ronk to get rewarded with the old visitor's costume. Bert will now then ask you to kill some Choropis. After killing Choropis, you will now be directed to Hugh, who will then ask you to kill some Flanace. Then you will hunt honeybees for its honeys. After getting enough honeys, you will go to Cloud, who will then ask you to kill some pumpkins. You can slay some more pumpkins until you hit level 10, which is the requirement for the first job change. After changing to Muse, you should first buy the wand and the magic tool. This will be our first weapon, so we can do normal attack range, since we still lack level to get multiple skills to spam. Once you're done resetting your stats, get the travel to Luxem Tower, and we are going to head to the next map. We will first speak to Morgan, then head to the nearest village to get the quest that will give us our first quest armor rewards. Pick up the quest from Magdalena, Rodolfo, and Enu. Before hunting any monsters, we will first do the honey for honey quest. To do this quest, you need to find a honey beehive that looks like it leaks honey. Just stand below it and you will get the honey samples. After getting all 5 honey samples, go back to Magdalena and choose the MP recovery shoes. Talk to Rodolfo and get the armor with max HP. Only then, we will proceed to do the rest of the quest by hunting young and red Pomix. Once we are done with the quest, submit first to Morgan and then to other NPCs and choose the rest of the armor with MP recovery. After submitting, we will then talk to Lutis. Lutis then will ask us to talk to Lena on Zant. Once you hit level 15, a pop-up message will appear from Arua Guide and will give you an orange colored quest. This is known as the hero or the story quest, which you can receive the Junon mask after a couple of chain quests. Before we start the story quest, we will prioritize doing the Lena quest to get the first weapon reward. After talking to Lena, your first task is to kill some hornets. By this time, you have enough skill to burst the hornet. Always remember to start the fight in max range. After killing enough hornets, you will be then asked to go around the town and meet the people. In order, you will talk to first to Crow, then to Mina, then to Raffle, then to Ulysses, then back to Raffles, back to Crow, then talk to Charlene, and lastly back to Crow. Crow will then let you choose your weapon. Be careful when choosing the stuff because there will be no confirmation pop-up. Once you get your weapon, you can now just hide or abandon the quest. If you wish to continue the quest, you can still get it later to Cornell. Once you got your weapon, this is where you should start doing the story quest and follow it until you get the Junon Mask. I will be skipping the Junon Mask quest on this video to focus on the leveling part, and I will make a separate video about it. The quest itself will take you about 45 minutes, but it will be surely worth it as the Junon Mask is the best mask for most DPS class. After getting the Junon Mask, you can hide or abandon the quest for now. Another notable item reward is the Adventurer's Shoes. It basically gives you plus 100 move speed, which is very helpful on early levels when submitting quests. Before we go back to grinding, go to Mina and buy your first accessory accuracy set. This will help us to get enough accuracy to get consistent hit rate to monsters up to Junon, and also will help deal with evasive monsters like Aqua Hunters. Next, we will go to Williams on Elberlund Desert to do the repeatable quest for Aqua Guards. Reminders: always start the fight on max range. Be careful of aggressive monsters. In this case, it's the Aqua Warriors. Use the first option on targeting system so you won't go near the target or do normal attacks. 5 mana bolt, 1 mana spear, and 1 voltage bolt is enough. You should put the next skill points to self buffs and passives that increase your attack and skill power. The last one, invite people around for faster questing. You can stay on Aqua Repeatables until Williams stop giving the quest at level 36. Another option is to go to Kenji Beach and join the Crofy or Donga parties. You can go there at level 30 by using Junon Scroll, then use the ship or go back to Adventurer's Plain because there's another ship that can take you to Kenji Beach. Always check the party finder by pressing P if there's a party going on, and if you can't find the party, you can still continue questing. You can start the Elberlund chain quest by talking to Karaan. He will then ask you to talk to Orias, Meteo, and Lina. After talking to them, go back to Karaan. Karaan then will ask you to talk to Franklin, which is located at the west of the map. Franklin will then ask you to kill some Rockies. After killing Rockies, submit the quest to Linda, who is located northwest of the map. She will then ask you to hunt beetles, turtles, and aquas to get the ingredients for her soup. After completing the task, go back to Linda to get your rewards. She will then ask you to talk to Rick. Travel to the east side of the map where he is located. He will then ask you to hunt some honeybees and hornets around the area. I would highly suggest to skip this part of the quest if you are a complete newbie, since these monsters can be quite deadly. If your level is already 38 and above, you can abandon this chain quest and continue a different set of chain quests on Anima Lake that would reward you the purple armors and the level 45 purple weapon if you continue doing the quest until Junon. Start the Anima Lake chain quest by talking to Stefano, who will then ask you to kill some porkies. Kill porkies and mini porkies, then submit back to Stefano. After that, he will then ask you to kill some crazy porkies and porky hooligans. Just follow the path and you can find them after passing through the bridge. Before submitting the quest, make sure that you have an extra slot in your inventory because Canterbury will reward you with the first part of the purple armor set. He will then ask you to kill some aquas. Before starting the quest, it is best to reset your skills to prioritize your wind and elemental bolts for boosted damage. We would use 5 voltage bolt, 1 voltage jolt, and 1 mana bolt, then the rest to buff and passive. After completing the quest, submit back to Canterbury and he will get you another set of Aqua Quest. After your quest completion, go back to Canterbury and he will ask you to go to Edon, the gypsy merchant located south near the entrance of Junon Polis. Edon will ask you to kill some grunters. Get all the 3 quests that will ask you to kill different type of grunters. Submit the quest back to Edon, who will then ask you to kill grunters, Querceoligans, and a wild gorilla. You can find the wild gorilla by traveling through the path southwest of the map. After quest completion, Edon will reward you the last 2 pieces of the purple armor set. Your last quest is to go talk to Winters on Junon Polis. You start the Junon Polis chain quest by talking to Winters. Winters will now ask us to defeat some moldies. Once you're done with the moldies, submit back to Winters. He will then ask us to go around Junon to talk to NPCs, and once you're done, go back again to Winters. After that, we will be asked to talk to Mayor Darren, and here, he will let you choose a weapon reward. Again, be careful because there will be no confirmation pop-up. Now, if you are above level 50, you can start doing the card quest if you haven't done it yet. I will just cut off again the card quest to focus on the leveling part. At level 50, you can have the option to go to Kenji Beach and start grinding on Donga or Crowfish. Your other option is to do the repeatable quest for fighter clowns on Forest of Wisdom. Before choosing where to level, you should buy the level 50 accuracy accessories on Belia. By doing this, you will have enough accuracy to be able to max hit rate for Crowfish and fighter clans. I just decided to go to fighter clans since the last part of the card quest also involves killing them. You can stay on fighter clowns until you hit level 55, but take note that joining Crowfish parties is always the best choice for faster XP. At level 55, you will now have access to Donga repeatable quest on Kenji Beach. Again, you have two choices. From 55 to 64, you can spam the Donga repeatable quest or join the Trophy parties for just grinding. If you decide to go with the repeatable quest, then there are 3 spots that you can choose. The first one are the normal Dongas and other Donga spot. The second spot is with the Donga Origins. The last spot is with the Donga Fighter or the Warrior spot. Now for the stats, we will still do the strength equals your... For the stats, we will now do strength equals your current level and the rest to int. You now have enough int to sustain your mana. So we put on strength for additional attack and a little bit of survivability. For the skills, it will depend on which path or how your party decide to level, whether single target kill or do an AoE party. For single target skills versus Croppies, since they have water element, we focus on wind skills. 5 voltage bolt, 1 voltage jolt, and 1 ice bolt. Then the rest to buff and passives, and attack and skill damage. Now if your party now decides to do the lure plus AoEs, you would want to prioritize AoE that you can throw from a distance, so you can be safe in case mobs suddenly switch targets. Prioritize 5 firing, 1 meteorite strike, 5 hailstorm, 1 icy hailstorm, and 1 windstorm. At level 65, you will now have access to repeatable trophy quest, which you can get from Hodge. Then at level 70, it will also give you a repeatable quest. Hodge will stop giving you the quest at level 75, but you can stay on Kenji Beach even until level 80. If you decide to go early on Luna at level 75, the first thing you should do is to buy the level 75 accuracy accessories. You need them so you can have consistent hit rate on Luna monsters, since most of the Luna mobs have higher than 200 dodge. The most popular spot for first timers on Luna are the Luna Bears. It is popular because the NPC quest giver is near the mobs. Now the other option is doing the repeatable quest for Yeti riders. They have lower dodge and MDef, so killing them is faster than Luna Bears, but nowadays nobody pays attention to them because the NPC quest giver is far from the rider locations. The other notable difference from Luna Bears is the XP reward. The two quests after killing 100 Deity Raiders will give you a combined total of 2 million XP. Then again, doing quests with a party is still the best way to grind faster. So I would still advise to go to Luna Bears than Riders. You can stay on Luna Bears until level 100. Once you finally reach level 100, you can now do your change job quest to Cleric. Moving forward, you have three choices for your build. The first one is to continue using stuff. This is my personal recommendation so your party can also benefit from the AoEs. By this level, you can even put single target bolts, so even if you can't find the party, you can pretty much solo. You should also buy a level 102 hardened stuff to finally recover from the accuracy disparity. This is a crafted stuff, so you should ask the crafter or an artisan to get one. And while you're at it, you should also purchase a level 117 one for future use so you can be a fully fledged battle cleric when you go to the next planet at level 120. Your second choice is to go full support. You can finally play your other character and your party wouldn't even mind if your cleric is not moving. You can just buy a wand from the NPC, but the best one for full supports are the unique ones since those have 40% mana consumption. You can allocate your stats as int as your requirement to your weapon and then the rest of your stats to charm to maximize your heals. The third choice would be going straight to being an auto attack battle cleric. I do not really recommend this build because you will lack some skill points at level 100 and your damage will be just a bit lackluster compared to a cleric using stuff. You would either be a half-baked battle cleric at level 100 or you can just have the option to completely ignore your heals or salamander and then focus on your passives. If you still insist, then you should allocate your stats as Dex equals your current level, then the rest to int. Purchase a level 97 hardened one since this will be only your choice at your current level. On the leveling part, you have multiple choices depending on the availability of the party. Again, always check the party finder by pressing P. The first one, you can stay on Luna Bears until you can find a different party. Another option is the Gangster Penguins, which gives better XP per kill and reward. The third option is the one that is the most popular grinding spot for level 100 to 120, which is the King Spot. The King Spot is located at the far western side of the Mana Snowfields. Aside from King Spot, there is another spot. That option is the Forgotten Temple Basement 2. Monsters here can be quite deadly, so you really need a good AoE or some high level boosters. You can use the portal to take you to the entrance of the temple, then follow the path to Basement 2. Your last option, and probably the hardest one, is by doing the Valor quest. I have made the guide for this so you can check it out in case you are curious enough on how this quest works. Okay, that is all guys. And I will also be updating the guide on the forums and Discord, and will post a link on the video description. Thank you all for the support, and I will continue making guides, but let's just hope that they don't change too much on the game that will affect the early grinding experience, or I would make another leveling guide. If you guys have questions about the guide, you can leave your comments or contact me directly on Discord at Mr. Joe. Again, thank you all guys and see you in game.